for you for room monitoring. Number one, be polite. Number two, be proactive. Okay? When you come into your assigned rooms, there are things that you need to do, and we have this document available on the website. Get it onto your phones, yeah, and familiarize yourself with it. It's translated into English and Korean so that if you're having trouble understanding one, you can understand the other. So, first thing you do when you come into your room, familiarize yourself with the technology. Okay? Make sure you know how to get the screen to go down, how to make the beam projector go. If those things aren't working, we have steps here for you to try, which I will go through in a bit. Turn on the audio, turn on the projector, get all of that stuff going on so that your presentations can go as smoothly as possible. Okay? So, first thing you do when you are being a room monitor, go to the student volunteer room and sign in. Okay, make sure that they know where you are and make sure that they know everything's covered, because we do have something like 16 rooms going at any given time, and each room needs to have a room monitor in it or people die, basically. True story, it happened last year. So, you will need to keep your cell phone and your pen on you. Alright? Make sure your cell phone is on vibrate. And have the student volunteer manager's cell phone numbers in your phone. Okay? Probably emergency dial 1 for the weekend so that you can get in touch with them. And if you have to contact them, please tell them where you are. Okay? Start with, this is room 512, I need a something. Okay, and get confirmation on that. When you are doing room monitoring, you're responsible for how the room looks. Make sure all the chairs are orderly. You might have noticed that the desks in this room were in nice straight rows before we got here, and now they're not. So at the end of every presentation, people will have moved desks around, or maybe stuff gotten pushed out in the aisle. Get everything all straightened up so that the next group that comes in, it looks like a professional space rather than a dormitory. Make sure the board is clean. Wipe it off. Make sure the projector is on if it needs to be on. Make sure that there are markers and that the markers work, just in case. They might want to write something on the board in the middle of their presentation, even if they didn't plan it that way. So make sure all that stuff is ready for them.
If it's not, contact a student volunteer manager, okay, and you will have the numbers on the weekend. We'll tell you the numbers. Yeah.
And make sure that they've got their bottle of water. All right. Introduce yourself to the presenter. Right? Generally start with hi, and then my name is. I know you guys are probably experts at that kind of language. And say, I'm going to be doing this. If you need any kind of assistance, let me know. Distribute any handouts to audience members if needs be. However, we do not make photocopies for presenters. Okay? If they come to you and they say, I want 50 of these photocopies, be polite. Say, I'm sorry, we cannot provide photocopies. You'll have to find some way to work around that. If the presenter is being rude or difficult, or if somebody in the room is being rude or difficult to you, you are not paid enough to deal with that kind of nonsense, because you really don't get paid, right? So that's the whole volunteer thing. It sort of obviates the cash. If somebody's being rude, be polite, say, I'm sorry, I'll need to get somebody who can help you with that, and contact your student volunteer manager and let them deal with them. All right? You need to stay in the room for the full presentation. If you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the presentation, don't. I know, you're like, I can sneak off and I can... No. Okay? Because that will be the time that something will break, and then you're not in the room, and then people die. Right? So it's very important to stay in your rooms. We also have timekeepers for the session. If you are timekeeping, you need to have your signs that say 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left, and then the sign that says, please stop. Okay? Make sure you are on that, because some of these guys will talk for hours if we let them. And we're on a pretty tight schedule, especially with our 25-minute presentations. We have 2 25-minute presentations per hour in some rooms. They need to go like clockwork. So one person finishes, you get everything set up for the next person, and they go. Okay? Be very strict on the time. If they say, I just want 5 more minutes, politely don't give it to them. Say, I'm really sorry, but we've got another presenter coming up. Maybe you could talk with anybody who's interested in that outside or at the coffee stand or something like that. But you have to keep the line. Especially with the 25-minute presentations, those need to go through really rapidly. Okay? At 25 minutes, everything shuts down and we cycle out for the next person. Also, you should have a sign that you are displaying when people come in that says, please show your conference pass. Okay? We don't want any of these people who haven't paid coming into the presentations, because it makes people who have paid feel bad. And if they feel bad, then they start to cry, which is awkward for everybody. So, make sure that everybody has a conference pass visible. If they don't have a conference pass visible, say, could I please see your conference pass? We're just checking to make sure that everybody's doing stuff. If they don't and they get rude with you, who do you contact? Student volunteer manager. Yeah, one of them.
Me. I'm one of them.
Okay, she's one of them. So contact them, because that's probably when things are going to get a little bit uncomfortable, and you need to have somebody who can yell at these people without any sort of negative repercussions, which is probably going to be Jennifer. She's black belt in Taekwondo, so she can take care of herself. All right, you need to fill out your room form for each presentation. All right, you'll be given a room form, familiarize yourself with it, fill it out. If the presenter doesn't present, let us know.
Sometimes the presenter won't be in the room, and they won't tell us, and so it's your job to say, oh, the presenter didn't come.
Yeah. So if the presenter doesn't show up, you need to contact your student volunteer manager so that they can contact Mark or myself, so that we can make things happen and probably shut down that room for that amount of time. Because if people show up and they're sitting there waiting patiently for a presentation that they want to see and it doesn't happen, they get angry because they've missed another presentation at that time that they could be in. And at that point, again, people die. So we need to stay on top of this stuff. I'm serious, it's violent.
And then at the end, we have to bury the bodies.
Yeah.
So you'll have to stay late Sunday night.
And you don't want to be responsible for that, right? Because we don't know anything about it, and if the police talk to you, you have to stay quiet. It's really uncomfortable. So make sure you do that stuff before. Also, if somebody doesn't show up, please write on the board, no show. Not K-N-O-W. All right? Just to make sure that if somebody does wander in and they can see that nothing is going on, then they can move on to a different presentation. You need to return all of the signs and all of the envelopes you have to your student volunteer room and sign out at the end of your shift. Okay? You need to sign in and sign out, because we will have something like 140 of you that we'll be trying to keep track of. And without you guys giving us the information, it's impossible for us to have the information, and then people die. Okay? Do not leave the room unattended, as I said. You need to be in here the whole time. you need to wait until the tech people come in to lock the room before you can leave. All right? If there's an emergency, if you have to leave, contact your student volunteer manager and say, this is so-and-so in room so-and-so, there's an emergency, I need a replacement or something, and then you have to wait until that replacement shows up. Okay? Even if your mom phones and your little brother is on fire, and they need you to come deal with that right away, wait until your replacement arrives, please. Okay? Now, when the person starts speaking, it's probably natural for people to come in the first 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, especially in a 45-minute presentation, they might sort of drift in. However, you want to keep the door closed at the start of the presentation because we don't want all of the people in the corridor's noise drowning out everything that's going on in the room. That makes the presenter angry. So, close the door. New tongue today, it doesn't work. If people are going in and out, please try to make sure that the door isn't making a lot of noise. Okay? If it's windy and the door might slam, be aware of that and try to minimize the disruption for the presenter and for the attendees. Remember, some of these presenters have flown from Indonesia or Sri Lanka or Iran for their 25-minute presentation, and it's really quite important for them for everything to go smoothly. All right, so you're on the front line for making that happen. If something goes wrong, if the technology stops working, or if, I don't know, something happens, apologize to the presenter and go through the checklist. On here, we've got a list of problems. Again, download this off the website, familiarize yourself with it, because if you follow these steps, about 80% of our problems don't happen. Okay? If you know how to deal with this, then 80% of the time everything will be better. If you go through your steps and it doesn't work, then you need to get in touch with your student volunteer manager, who will get in touch with the technical team, who will send somebody running over to get it fixed. Okay? Again, if the technology breaks down, say, I'm really sorry, I'll try and get this fixed. If you cannot get it fixed, then talk to the tech team and get them to come in as soon as possible. Okay? As soon as possible. If you get the problem fixed before help arrives, please send a message to your student volunteer manager and tell them to stop sending help. Okay? Because if the technical team has run across the building to get here and arrives and realizes that they don't need to do anything, then people die. And it's probably going to be you. So you probably want to avoid that kind of thing. They're fierce, especially Sean. Quite fierce. All right. And yeah, at the end, after everything's going, if people are in and they're just talking with each other and not leaving the room, politely say, excuse me, but I need to get this room set up for the next presenter. Could you please take your conversation out into the courtyard or into one of the coffee areas so that I can have everything ready for the next presenter? Okay? We really need to be polite on this because some old people are very touchy and they can get easily offended. Okay? Again, if they get loud or rude at that point, contact your student volunteer manager and they will come in and drag people out.
Or push.
Or push. Or threaten with violence. Any questions? Clear? Okay, so.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm not really good with computers.
Yep.
Am I going to be able to be a room monitor?
Yes. If you're not comfortable with computers, we have a really simple checklist with pictures. Yeah.
It's on the Facebook group.
It's on the Facebook group.
I posted it yesterday, so look at the files and it's there.
Look at the files, familiarize yourself with it. Maybe If you're in the room, or if you're going to be a room monitor, like the next day, find a room that maybe isn't being used, or during a break, go into a room and look at the technology and make sure that you know what to do. Okay? Again, if you are proactive on this, right? This might be a problem. How can I solve this problem before it happens? It will save so much pain and suffering for everybody. Right?
Brad, and just to add to what Brad said, right? If you're sitting here thinking right now, like, oh no, what happens if our problem? Remember, it's not that complicated. We're talking about
jiggle a
the
wire,
podium
push a
working,
button,
the computer working, the projector working.
Same as in your classrooms.
Yeah, and you probably have all seen this when you've been sitting in class when the projector doesn't work. The professor gets pretty upset, right? It's usually not that big of a deal. However, like he said, some of these people have traveled a long way and they're really excited about giving their presentations. Attendees are really excited about hearing it. So it's just a small problem. Like they'll go over the checklist now and you just go down the line. Not like you're gonna have to take a radio and help. No, you're probably gonna be able to fix it, or your student volunteer manager will be right there in the area. Maybe you can just run out of the room really quickly, like, hey,
Nope.
come in and help me. Nope.
Never leave the room.
Well, not figuratively.
Okay. Stick your head out the door.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
But keep both feet inside.
Yeah. 1 foot not acceptable. Both feet.
Good point.
So, yeah. Remember, be polite. You want everything to move as smoothly as possible. And being polite means that they're going to want to work with you. Okay? If you're polite, if you're nice, if you say, we really want our next presenter to have a good experience, would you mind please moving your conversation out into the hallway? Or please stop talking on your phone during the presentation. I hope to God that doesn't happen. Those kinds of things. Be polite and be proactive, and like 90% of your problems won't happen. Right? For the 10% or 20% that you cannot deal with, either the person's rude, or the computer explodes, or something like that, then there's a support structure in place. First, your student volunteer manager, and then the technical team. Okay?
And to add something else to that, last year, I don't remember that we had to contact tech for anything.
Yeah.
Most of the problems, it's a PC, right?
Yep.
What do you do when your PC at home doesn't work right?
Turn it off, restart it.
Right? You turn it off, turn it back on again, and like 99%.
Kick it, but don't kick these.
That's it.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And most of the troubleshooting that you'll do is just that. Turn it off, turn it back on again. Right? Still doesn't work. Then you ask. Okay.
All right. One thing with the technical side of things, some presenters will want to use their own computers. They should have told us that before. We should know, so that tech knows, so that we can have that system in place. If they come in before their presentation and they say, I want to connect my computer here, contact your student volunteer manager so that they can contact tech and get that done before the presentation starts. Okay? Any other questions? Comments? Dustin?
Is there a checklist that is given to the presenters?
Presenters or room honors?
Presenters, so you said if they come with their own computer, can we send them a checklist saying,
Yanel has sent an email. If you have any of those technical requirements, please let us know. Yeah, that's particular.
The other thing is that most of the presenters that do bring their own computers, or if they bring like a thumb drive,
Yeah.
like a USB drive, they'll anticipate. They've already anticipated problems.
We'll
Hopefully,
hope.
and if
Yeah.
their stuff's not working,
Yeah.
it's on them
Yeah.
really to figure
Yes,
it out.
yes.
And you can help them, but there's only so much that you can do to help them, right? You're not gonna like take their laptop and try to fix it, that's crazy, right? So what they'll do, if they're responsible and they've presented before, they'll have it set up so that they have redundancy. They have it in Google Drive or whatever, or they've got it on a thumb drive that in mind. Most of them, 99% of them, if they bring their own stuff, they will fix it themselves. The other 1%, if they don't know what to do, you can only help them so much because, again, it's their stuff, right? So if their stuff doesn't work,
It's not on us.
it's not on,
It's not
yeah,
on
it's
us.
not on you, it's not on us, it's their responsibility. Okay?
Okay, we're done.
Thank you.